He was known as the Butterfly Man of Kuranda. After moving to Townsville in 1884, Frederick Dodd began studying and amassing a spectacular array of tropical insects. This extraordinary collection can be viewed for a short period every 4 years. It provides a colourful window into Queensland's past.
Insects aren't always considered precious, but this collection breaks the mould. Some of these specimens are more than 100 years old.
It's a wonderful treasure of the Queensland Museum. We've had it locked away for over 15 years, and it's really wonderful to bring it out of the closet and show it off again.
The collection represents the life work of Frederick Dodd and was donated by his family, who had cared for it for decades. One of Queensland's foremost entomologists, he assembled this extraordinary exhibition. But he didn't start out working with insects. He was a bank teller who was unwillingly transferred to Townsville, where a friend introduced him to insects, and his life took a whole new course.
He and his wife raised 6 children on the proceeds of insects, and it became a whole family business. He was able to sell specimens at first to the great collectors of Europe, people like Lord Rothschild and Lord Walsingham. All those collections ended up in the British Museum, where they formed probably the most important collection of Australian insects in an overseas institution.
At the time, many of those insects were incredibly rare. The king stag beetles he collected would have sold for several £1,000s.
I suspect it's probably the most of that species in one place in the world. It's a magnificent coloured stag beetle with iridescence of green and purple from North Queensland.
After their home was destroyed by a cyclone, Frederick Dodd moved his family to far north Queensland, where he set up a museum and eventually became known as the Butterfly Man of Kuranda. It was a regular tourist highlight, and he created displays that delighted visitors.
On the poetry case, it's a poem by Longfellow. The theme is Mother Nature, and it says, "And whenever the way seemed long or his heart began to fail, she, who's Mother Nature, would sing a more wonderful song or tell a more marvellous tale." And it's signed in Beatles, Longfellow. It's a lovely piece of Victoriana-type whimsy.
The man was as popular as his exhibition.
He was much loved. He's described by a journalist as a tall, courtly, polite gentleman, and he seems to have been a lovely man all round.
Curator Jeff Thompson is also an entomologist, so for him, working with the collection is a labour of love.
It's hard to have favourites, but I think I like the lycaenid butterflies, the ant blues that we have at the entrance is one of the iconic cases, but I also love the Grand Parade and the Golden Shield. They're fantastic cases.
It's just extraordinary. The colours are, it's incredible they're so vivid. That's what I like.
It's really wonderful, isn't it, that the colours have been preserved. Not many collections of this age would have that vibrancy still. It's a fabulous survivor. The family looked after it beautifully, and it's a tribute to them that it's in such perfect condition.
This viewing of the collection is as rare as some of its residents. To preserve its remarkable state, it can only be exposed to light for a limited time. While it's out, it will be shown in Brisbane, Townsville and Toowoomba.
We can only let it out of the closet for limited times. After those 3 6-month periods, we'll have to put it away for 4 years to rest. It's important to maintain some of the life for future generations.
And this weekend is your last chance to catch the exhibition in Brisbane. It moves on to Toowoomba in September and Townsville in July next year.